And joining us on the line right now is U.S. Senator Ben Cardin, a Democrat from the state of Maryland. Senator, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to be with you. Thank you.
We want to talk about your proposal about income tax, but news of the moment, really, we have to ask you a quick question about immigration reform and also how it's going to play out when it comes to the Department of Homeland Security. As you know, Homeland Security runs out of money at midnight Friday. Republicans have thrown several bills up, and Democrats have knocked them down because they don't fund the president's amnesty program, amnesty program that at least one federal judge has real questions about. So are Democrats prepared to shut down the Department of Homeland Security?
Well, first of all, I find this amazing that the Republicans are holding up the funding of the Department of Homeland Security. This is a big agency that affects the entire security of our homeland over their insistence that there be riders attached to this bill affecting immigration policy. So the solution here is very simple. Let's pass what we call a clean appropriation bill for the Department of Homeland Security, which has been agreed to by both the House and Senate appropriators, and then bring an immigration bill to the floor and let's debate that in an open process and let us pass comprehensive immigration reform to deal with the immigration.
Well, you have said that the Republicans are trying to shut down the Department of Homeland Security, but that's really not true because they have put up bills that are willing to fund everything except this one question that even a federal judge has said the president's proposal may not be constitutional. They don't want to fund his amnesty program because there are real questions about it. Why can't you just pass a bill that will fund everything else and let things rock on? Isn't the nation's security important enough to do that?
You don't want to hold up an appropriation bill over this rider that would prevent us from protecting our borders. No, the immigration issue needs to be debated. The Senate passed an immigration bill. The House has not passed an immigration bill. It was not on an appropriation bill. You don't hold up the funding of government over your ideological issues. If the president did not have the authority, then the courts will so rule. But in my view, it's better for Congress to act. We should act on immigration. We shouldn't let the president have to issue these executive orders. But this is what's being held up in the House of Representatives. The Senate has acted on this. So I think what you are doing by saying, look, we'll use the shutdown of government as a way to leverage our philosophical differences with the president, let's bring those bills up and debate them directly, but don't hold federal security hostage to it. No, I think this is clearly the responsibility of the Republicans in not allowing us to pass an appropriation bill and then deal with immigration on an immigration bill.
Well, and therein lies the debate that will definitely continue through the deadline, which is fast approaching. Let's turn to your proposal that you announced. Are you announcing this today or yesterday? I'm sorry.
No, I filed the bill actually last December at the end of the last session, my progressive consumption tax.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're basically saying you want to do away with most income taxes, but certainly the government is going to get money somehow. How are you going to get it?
You're absolutely correct. It's a zero-sum game. The concept here are two important points. First, that this proposal will be fairer to middle-income families than our current tax code. That is, it'll be more progressive. And secondly, it will raise only the revenue we say it's going to raise, and that it will not add to the growth of government, but fund the government at the level that we currently do. That's the two concepts that must be maintained, and as a result of what we do is shift from income taxes to consumption taxes to make us more competitive globally. It would allow America to have the lowest average marginal rates in the industrial world, 5 points below what our competitors in industrial nations currently have. So what it does is impose a national consumption tax. It eliminates the income tax for 90% of Americans because we don't start the income tax until $100,000. It reduced the rates of personal income tax so that the highest marginal rate would be 28% at $500,000 of taxable income, and reduces the corporate tax from 35% to 17%, making America more competitive.
So it doesn't do away with all income taxes. It just continues to put income taxes on the wealthy.
It starts the income tax at $100,000 of taxable income with three brackets. At the end of the day, wealthier people will pay slightly more. Middle-income families will pay slightly less. Low-income families will pay about the same.
All right, but there are some people who will be hit with both the consumption tax and the income tax. And will there be some people who will be exempt from paying the consumption tax?
Yes, low-income families will get credits reflective of their consumption tax. So if you currently do not pay taxes today, you would not be paying taxes under this proposal.
All right, so but if you get in the 15% bracket because you make $100,000, and then you're also going to pay the 10% consumption tax, that's like a 25% tax.
It depends on your family size. You may be entitled to rebates. You do get deductions from your income taxes. And remember, if you're making $100,000, there are no taxes on the first $100,000. So you would not be paying tax.
So let me ask you this, because a lot of times you'll pass a bill, like you'll pass a cigarette tax, and the idea of the cigarette tax is you want to dissuade people from smoking cigarettes. It's you do this based on health purposes. Let's make it more expensive for people to buy cigarettes so they stop smoking, and that's a good thing. So if you put a consumption tax on things that people are buying, isn't that going to slow the economy down because people will stop buying certain things?
Well, there's currently taxes on what you buy. You're paying a corporate tax. In some cases, it's as high as 35%. So the profits of companies. Well, that's reflected in the price of the products that you buy in the marketplace. What this proposal will do is help U.S. manufacturers. If you're manufacturing an automobile today and you try to sell it in the United States, you pay corporate income taxes on it. Whereupon European cars come in or Asian cars come in, they don't have that tax. You take off their consumption taxes at the border. Our taxes are not border adjusted. So this proposal will help American producers and manufacturers, but as far as the cost of products, it will have minimal impact on the cost.
But when the consumer goes and they see that additional consumption tax put on the cost of an item, some people are going to choose not to buy it, right?
Well, again, you've got to take a look at the total macroeconomic impact, and the answer to that question is not really, because the cost of productions will be comparable to what they are today.
I guess one of the other big concerns here is that as long as the income tax remains, I know that your proposal is, okay, up to $100,000 and then 3 brackets above that. What stops the next Congress or the next president coming in saying, we got to cheat that down to $75,000. Let's cheat it down to $50,000. And basically, we're right back where we are now with the income tax, except we've also added a consumption tax.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened in 1986. We said that we could reform our current income tax by reducing the rates and spreading the burden, and that lasted to 1987, and we started changing it all over again, and we now have this problem that we all agree that our current tax structure needs major reform. The advantage of the proposal that I am suggesting, it simplifies the income tax. There's 4 major deductions from it, so it really does simplify it. Makes the cost of compliance much less. It has what I call a circuit breaker in it, so that if revenues exceed 10% of our economy, there's automatic tax rebate. And I guess I would disagree with your basic assumption. It's not easy to raise taxes politically. And yes, we do look for sometimes hidden taxes in order to get the revenues we need. These are pretty visible taxes. Americans will know exactly what we're doing here if we change the brackets. So I think it's a much more accountable system than our current system.
All right. We're going to have to leave it right there, Senator Ben Cardin. We really appreciate you joining us here on Mornings on the Mall.